Welcome to The Explainer. All right, today we're going to talk about that federal holiday in February. You know the one. It's famous for mattress sales, and if you're lucky, a day off from work. But have you ever stopped to think about what it's actually called? Or who we're really celebrating? Well, believe it or not, the answer is way more complicated than you think. So let's start with a really simple question, right? It's the third Monday in February. What holiday is it? Seems easy enough, but, and this is the crazy part, depending on where you live in the US, the official name of the holiday you're celebrating, it might be totally different from what you've always called it. I mean, look at this list. Is it Washington's birthday? Okay, simple enough. Or is it President's Day? And wait, with an apostrophe? Where does the apostrophe even go? Before the S? After? Or maybe no apostrophe at all? And then you've got states doing their own thing, like Washington and Lincoln Day, or even George Washington's birthday and Daisy Bates Day in Arkansas. So yeah, how did one single holiday end up with this many different names? Let's get into it.
All right, to untangle this whole mess, we have to rewind, like all the way back to the very beginning. Because this holiday, it didn't start out as this big celebration of all the presidents. Nope, it was created to honor just one guy, the very first president, George Washington.
So Congress made it official back in the late 1800s, and they were super clear about it. The holiday was explicitly named Washington's birthday, and it was always on his actual birthday, February 22nd. Fun fact, this was actually the very first federal holiday created to celebrate a single American. Pretty big deal. But here's where it gets even a little weirder. Turns out, even Washington's birthday is a bit of a historical funhouse mirror. See, he was actually born on February 11th, 1731, under what was called the Julian calendar. But then, in 1752, the whole British Empire, including the American colonies, switched to the new, more accurate Gregorian calendar we use today. To make everything line up, they had to skip 11 days, and boom, Washington's birthday officially jumped forward to February 22nd. Wild, right? So for almost 100 years, everything was nice and simple. February 22nd was Washington's birthday. End of story. But then 1971 happened. A single law was passed that basically threw a wrench in the whole thing and created the confusion we have today.
And that big change was called the Uniform Monday Holiday Act. Now, its goal had nothing to do with changing who we celebrate. The whole point was about when we celebrate. Basically, everyone, from labor unions to businesses, wanted more three-day weekends. You know, give workers a break and, let's be honest, give people more time to go shopping.
Okay, so this is it. This is the absolute core of all the confusion. The act took Washington's birthday off its fixed date of February 22nd and moved it to the third Monday in February. But, and this is the most important part, the official name of the holiday never changed. It's still, to this day, legally Washington's birthday on the federal books.
And here is the most ironic twist in this entire story. Get this. The third Monday in February can only fall between the 15th and the 21st of the month. Think about it. Washington's birthday is the 22nd. This means we can never actually celebrate the federal holiday of Washington's birthday on Washington's actual birthday. How crazy is that?
So that begs the question, right? If the government never changed the name, where in the world did President's Day come from? Well, it wasn't some law passed by Congress. It was basically a cultural takeover, driven by a perfect storm of convenience and, you guessed it, capitalism. It really happened in a few stages. First off, that new Monday holiday just happened to fall right between the birthdays of two of America's most famous presidents, Washington on the 22nd and Abraham Lincoln on the 12th. So people just kind of started lumping them together in their minds, and then the advertisers saw their chance. They realized President's Day sale sounded way better for a three-day weekend event, and they just ran with it. And this unofficial rebranding, pushed really hard by advertisers, was just incredibly powerful. So powerful that by the mid-1980s, pretty much everyone was calling it President's Day. The name had completely taken over in the public mind, effectively rebranding the holiday for most of us, all without a single vote in Congress. Okay, but wait, it gets even more complicated. And honestly, this is where it gets really interesting. The federal government only sets the holiday for its own workers. That means every single state gets to decide for itself what to call the day, or even if they want to celebrate it at all. And the result is this wild patchwork of different names all across the country. And because states have this freedom, you get some really unique combinations. For example, in Alabama, they celebrate the birthdays of both George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. Head over to Utah, and it's Washington and Lincoln Day. And in Arkansas, they use the day to honor not just Washington, but also the civil rights hero Daisy Bates. Just amazing.
And all this different naming also leads to the classic confusion. What's open and what's closed? Well, here's the general rule. Since it's a federal holiday, government stuff is closed, so no mail delivery, federal offices are shut. But for most private businesses, and especially for stores, oh, they are very, very open. It's one of the biggest sales weekends of the entire year after all.
Okay, so let's pull all these different threads together. It's time to finally definitively answer that question we started with. What exactly is the holiday on the third Monday of February? Believe it or not, the confusion goes right down to the grammar, the apostrophe. If you write President's Day, singular, that kind of implies you're honoring one specific president, maybe the office itself. But if you write President's Day, plural, that suggests we're honoring all of them. And then you have President's Day with no apostrophe at all, which is how a lot of news outlets write it, just like Veterans Day. So here's the bottom line. It all boils down to a battle between the official law and our shared culture. Officially, on a federal level, the holiday is and always has been since 1879 Washington's birthday. But culturally, in the real world of conversation, advertising, and even how many states officially name it, it has 100% become President's Day, a day to honor all the presidents. And that really leaves us with a bigger, more interesting question, doesn't it? It's about the power of culture versus the power of law. It's just a fascinating peek into how our traditions can grow and change, sometimes completely ignoring the official rulebook. So what do you think? Does a holiday's official name even matter if our culture has decided it means something else entirely? It's definitely something to think about.